Hey guys, so today I have swatches of the Essie Regal Rebel collection. This is their Gel Couture line, which is supposed to be their long-wearing polish line. This is a fairly new collection. I'm not sure I've seen much from Essie about it, but they are available right now at Beyond Polish. So I will link that website down below, as well as my affiliate/coupon code with Beyond Polish. 6 polishes altogether, and I'll get into the swatches. So this first polish is called Gilded Glitz, and this is an almost like pastel marigold shade with a really fine pearly shimmer. I don't have the Essie descriptions for these colors yet, so forgive me as my brain tries to work. This one is a little bit sheer and streaky on the first coat. The shimmer is really subtle. It adds a nice glow without adding brush strokes, which I appreciate. This was still a little bit streaky on the second coat, so I did go ahead and add a third. None of this is out of the ordinary for a light yellow, but I had still kind of hoped it would be a little bit more opaque than it was. The third coat did cover completely for me though, and to my shock I actually kind of like the really fine, really subtle pearly shimmer that all of the polishes in this collection have. So that is 3 coats of Gilded Glitz. The next polish is called Regal Rebel, and this is a very light, kind of muted, lilac-y mauve shade, if that makes any sense. I really need Essie to help me here. This was also a bit sheer and streaky on that first coat. It has that same really fine pearly shimmer in it that is very hard to pick out without really looking for it, but it gives an overall glow to the polish, which I really like. Again, no brush strokes to that shimmer because it is so subtle, and this did cover completely for me in 2 coats. So that is 2 coats of Regal Rebel. The next polish is called Ruffle Up, and this is kind of like a pastel peach shade, again with that really subtle shimmer. I also want to point out that I'm on the Beyond Polish website to just make sure that I have the names of these correct while I'm doing the voiceover, and all of these pictures look so much more saturated than these polishes do in person. They definitely lean a lot more pastel than the promo pictures are showing. This one was also a little bit sheer on that first coat, but it did build up well enough for me into, I think the shimmer on this was a little harder to pick out than in the previous 2 polishes for whatever reason. So that is 2 coats of Ruffle Up. The next polish is called Tulle The World, and this is kind of an unusual green. It's a little pastel leaning, but definitely not like a mint green. It's almost like a shamrock shake kind of green. It's like if you could make a grass green pastel, if that makes any sense. It also has that really fine pearly shimmer. This was also a little bit streaky here. It actually looks really streaky in this first coat, but I wrote a little bit in my notes. But it did cover it better than any of the previous polishes, I think because they're getting a little bit darker now. The subtle shimmer that's in here also stood out really, really well with this one. I think this is the one that I could see it the best in, and it did cover completely for me in 2 coats. So that is 2 coats of Tulle The World. The next polish is called Laced and Ready, and this is a kind of periwinkle shade with that fine pearly shimmer. This has a great formula. It covered really well on the first coat. The shimmer in here is very subtle, but still comes out and glows, although it doesn't stand out quite as much as it did in Tulle The World. This did cover completely for me in 2 coats, and I do think that the color dries just a little tiny bit darker than it is when it's wet. So that is 2 coats of Laced and Ready. So the last polish is called Gloves Are Off, and I actually took a screenshot of what the promo picture looks like from Essie on this one because it is egregiously off from what the color actually is. I'm going to go ahead and describe this as a mauve because no one can decide what mauve is, so I'm going to describe purple and red as both mauve. By far, this has the best formula and coverage from any of the other polishes. The shimmer in here is harder to see, I think probably because it's a little bit more opaque, although you would think it would stand out better against a darker color, so I don't really know. This covered completely for me in 2 coats, but I could see this also being a 1-coater for some people. So that is 2 coats of Gloves Are Off. So I had some just slight, teeny, tiny, itty-bitty disappointments with the formulas in this collection. I just wish they had covered a little bit more. They weren't terrible, but I just would have liked just a little bit more out of them. But I still really liked Tulle The World. I think this is a really kind of unique green. I was trying to describe this when I was filming my voiceover, recording my voiceover, because I usually rely on the Essie descriptions, and Essie hasn't started marketing this collection yet, so there are no Essie descriptions. And I had a really hard time describing this. It's a unique green, and I'm sure I could go through my entire collection and find something that's similar to this, but it's not. I can't think of anything off the top of my head. It's kind of a unique shade of green. And I also really like that pearly finish that's in there, which is not something I ever thought would come out of my mouth. It didn't give any brush strokes and it wasn't like very in your face pearly. It just added like a slight little glow to the polish, which I liked quite a bit. So that is the Essie Gel Couture Regal Rebel collection. I will link Beyond Polish down below where you guys can check those out. I also have a coupon/affiliate code with Beyond Polish, which will be here and in the description box. Hope you guys enjoyed this one, and I will talk to you later.